Chapter 9. Taylor Farm, 2036.
The couch in the main house was a patchwork of old blankets, snack crumbs, and tangled limbs. Lisa had claimed one end with a mug of tea and a quiet sigh. Daniel lounged on the other with his feet on the coffee table, and Libby lay stretched across them both like she owned the place. On the TV, a National Geographic special rolled through footage of volcanic eruptions, lava cascading down slopes, lightning dancing in ash clouds, and molten rock fountaining into the sky like fireworks from the underworld. Libby was captivated, chewing the edge of her sleeve. "Whoa," she murmured. "That's like nature's biggest fart." Lisa snorted. "Libby Taylor." "What?" Libby grinned. "It is." Daniel chuckled, the corner of his mouth twitching. "It's technically a gas release under pressure." "Told you." She sat up suddenly, popcorn bowl teetering on her knees. "Do you think you and Daddy could use a volcano to blow up the bad aliens?" Lisa blinked. "Sweetheart, what kind of bedtime thoughts are you having?" "I don't know," Libby shrugged. "It's just cool, like boom, lava trap." Daniel opened his mouth to respond, but then a familiar voice cut through his thoughts. Soft, clear, and direct. "She's not wrong." Daniel blinked. He didn't flinch this time, but his spine straightened. "Van." He didn't say anything aloud, just shifted slightly, watching the screen as molten rock hissed into the sea. "Talk to me," he thought. "Look up the Russian Thunderwell project," Van said. "Kamchatka Peninsula. Airatta Torlairatta Yunbatta Aru." Daniel's brow furrowed. "Why?" "You'll see." His hand moved on instinct, reaching for his tablet. He typed quickly, searching. The moment the declassified files came up, his eyes widened. Numbers, heat thresholds, energy signatures, a marginal note in a scanned Soviet briefing, target masking under geologic cover. The blood drained from his face. "Oh my God," he whispered. Libby looked over. "Did I say something cool?" Daniel looked down at her like she'd cracked the sky. "You're a genius," he said, then kissed her on the cheek. She giggled. "I know." He shot to his feet, grabbing the tablet as he went. "Where are you going?" Lisa called after him. "Work," he said. "So much work." And he was gone. Out the door, across the porch, vanishing down the hill toward the trailer like the devil himself had just handed him blueprints. Lisa looked at Libby. "What just happened?" Libby shrugged, pleased. "Volcano trap."
3 days later. Taylor Farm, 2036.
The gravel crunched beneath the tires as Luke's car pulled up to the old farmhouse, the sun already dipping low behind the pasture trees. The light painted everything gold, except for the tension riding heavy in the front seat. Tracy hadn't spoken for most of the drive. She'd tried writing to Daniel again that morning. A short message, simple. "Just checking in. You okay?" No reply, not even a read receipt. "Still nothing?" Luke asked, glancing over. Tracy shook her head. "Nothing in 3 days." "You think he's okay?" "I think," she said slowly, "he's doing what I usually do, locking the door so he doesn't have to explain what's breaking inside." Luke didn't reply. He knew her well enough to leave the silence alone. Tracy stared out the window as the car rolled to a stop. She had been putting this off too long, pretending distance was just logistics, not fear. But that wasn't fair to Daniel. Not after everything he'd done. Not after the promise she made to stand by him. She exhaled. No more excuses. She was going to talk to him. No matter how awkward it was. No matter what he might say. The front door creaked open before they could even knock. Caroline stepped onto the porch, drying her hands with a dish towel, brow creased in concern. "I'm glad you're here," she said. "He hasn't come out of that trailer since Sunday." 3 days? Luke asked. Caroline nodded. "Not even for food. He's been having things delivered by drone." Tracy's stomach turned. Lisa appeared behind her, arms crossed, eyes tired. "It was the weirdest thing. We were just watching Nat Geo with Libby. Some volcano special. and Daniel seemed normal, relaxed even. She glanced at Tracy, then Luke. Then Libby made some offhand comment about wishing you two could use a volcano to blow up the bad aliens. Lisa gave a dry half-laugh. And Daniel just stopped. Froze like someone flipped a switch. "What did he do?" Tracy asked, already feeling that bristle in her spine. He stood up, kissed Libby on the cheek, and said, "This is how we win." Then he ran straight out the door. We haven't seen him since. That phrase made Luke's jaw tighten. Tracy recognized it too. He only said that when he saw something no one else did, when the numbers aligned in his head like falling stars. Luke was already heading for the path. "Let's go." Tracy didn't hesitate. Whatever was waiting in that trailer, it was time to face it. The door creaked open as Tracy stepped inside first, followed by Luke, Caroline, and Lisa. The stale scent of recycled air and leftover takeout clung to the room. Dim blue light flickered from a tangle of hollow screens, casting eerie shadows across the cluttered space. Daniel looked up from his workstation. His eyes were rimmed red from lack of sleep, but they were sharp, alive. He blinked in surprise as they entered, a slow smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. "Didn't think I'd rate a full delegation," he said, voice hoarse but teasing. "You've been in here for 3 days," Caroline scolded, arms crossed. "No meals, no fresh air, not even a message." Lisa stepped forward, a folded dish towel still in her hand. "I left food by the door. You didn't even touch it." Daniel rubbed the back of his neck, sheepish. "Yeah, sorry. I've been deep in something." Tracy lingered by the door, unsure if she should take another step. "You stopped replying to my messages." He looked at her, and something flickered behind his eyes. Regret, maybe, or uncertainty. "I know," he said quietly. "I wasn't trying to ignore you. I just got caught up." Tracy nodded slowly. "We need to talk." Daniel's gaze held hers a moment longer, and he nodded. "Yeah, we do. But not yet." He turned toward the workstation, a burst of energy returning to his frame. "First," he said, "I need you to see this." Luke stepped forward. "What are we looking at?" Daniel tapped the console. A holographic projection ignited in the air above them, rotating slowly, glowing in spectral blue, a conical structure that plunged deep into the Earth's crust. "It's a thunderwell," Daniel said. "My version." Another command. The projection split open, cross-sections revealing intricate layers, seismic dampeners, composite armor, geothermal buffers, radiation shielding, a pressure chamber near the bottom. Tracy's eyes narrowed. "What the hell, you built this sim in 3 days by yourself?" "Yes," Daniel said. "This and a lot more, just wait." He flicked his fingers. Another diagram unfolded, faster now, more alive. Physics danced across the projection like a symphony of pressure, heat, and math. This started as a declassified Soviet concept from the 80s, a dead end, until now. If you drill 6, maybe 7 kilometers down, you get close to the mantle, build a sealed chamber, flood it with seawater. And then, he pointed to the glowing sphere at the base of the model. "You drop a nuke." Tracy blinked. Luke froze mid-breath. Daniel's voice sharpened, crackling with conviction. "The explosion vaporizes the water in an instant. Flash converts it into plasma. That pressure doesn't just blow outward, it erupts straight up. A vertical kinetic column. You've basically built a railgun out of the Earth itself." Luke shook his head, stunned. "You're saying it could launch something?" Daniel nodded. "Not something. Anything. If it's dense enough to survive the launch. In this case." Another flick. A new model shimmered to life. A compressed tungsten rod wrapped in depleted uranium, a giant spike, the size of an F-150. No engine, no warhead, just raw momentum. It erupts out of the ground at Mach 20 and rips through orbit before they even know it's coming. He turned back to them, eyes alight. No signature, no heat plume, No warning. You don't shoot this. You spring it. Tracy exhaled. Power source? I mean, where would you get these nukes? Daniel didn't miss a beat. Decommissioned warheads. We're sitting on enough to arm the planet 5 times over. They're supposed to be disassembled. I say we reassign them. Tracy stepped closer, her arms folded, looking at Daniel with one part awe layered with a mask of concern, like she has somehow found the fatal flaw in this design, but didn't have the heart to tell him. You know you can't aim something like this. No trajectory correction. Once it launches, that's it. Daniel smirked. Not gonna be a problem, Commander. He snapped to another projection, a sphere of Earth wrapped in glowing lines, energy arcs stretching across continents like spider veins. Remember the dispersion field? Designed to scramble orbital sensors, force descent? Tracy nodded slowly. We shelved it. Too unstable. We unshelve it, Daniel said. But this time we weaponize it. We light up energy nodes all over the surface, distribution centers for the field, highly visible, on purpose. Luke frowned. Wait, you want them to see it? No, Daniel said. I want it to be the only thing they can see. He zoomed into the atmospheric model. Simulations rippled, false color renders of distortion, heat bloom, turbulent reentry. Once they're inside the atmosphere, cloaked or not, they're flying blind. Their sensors won't cut through the field. They'll be desperate for signal, any signal, and they'll find our nodes. Strong, stable, and undefended. He pointed to one. That's what they'll come for. Luke stared at it. And underneath? Daniel's voice dropped, a whisper of steel. Thunderwells. A long pause. Tracy's voice was barely audible. You're baiting them. Daniel nodded, drawing them straight into the kill zone. We don't need to aim. We don't want to. They'll fly into the crosshairs without ever knowing it. He gestured, and the room filled with light. Holo displays erupting like fireworks, showing global topography, layered defenses, fire arcs, impact simulations. Above it all, the world pulsed, alive with trapdoors. Luke stared at the grid. His face paled. You're not designing a system. Daniel's eyes gleamed. I'm designing a planetary ambush. Silence fell. The only sound was the soft whir of the projection's hum. Then Tracy said, almost reverently, This isn't doctrine. This is a blueprint for survival. Luke looked at Daniel like he was seeing him for the first time. How many? 60 nodes, Daniel replied. Globally distributed. 4 Thunderwells per site. Some redundancy. No single point of failure. Tracy stepped forward, voice trembling between awe and dread. You're saying a species that could travel across the stars, bend space, and we could still win? Daniel shrugged. They won't expect this. No fleet plans for the planet itself to hit back. Luke backed away from the display, already pulling out his phone. We need to brief Admiral Jackson. Tonight. He turned to Tracy. Get us on the red-eye. Have your father clear his schedule. To Daniel, can it be ready in a month? Daniel smirked. Sure, Libby has already done the hard part. Tracy choked a laugh. Luke shook his head in disbelief. The projection shimmered in the air between them. Earth, weaponized, beautiful, and terrifying. And beneath it all, a trap waiting to spring.
Scene: Pentagon subterranean briefing room. 2 days later.
The secure conference room beneath the Pentagon hummed with quiet anticipation. A single long table, flanked by projection walls and thick steel doors, housed a dozen top sensor and threat assessment officers. Admiral Jackson stood at the head, arms behind his back, gaze calm but sharp. When Daniel stepped in, flanked by Tracy and Luke, Jackson didn't rise to greet him with ceremony. He just gave a nod and said, Mr. Taylor. Daniel nodded back. Jackson motioned to the nearest seat but didn't sit himself. Appreciate you making time, although I have to ask. He turned slightly, addressing the room. Anyone want to explain why I had to cancel a scheduled meeting with the Joint Chiefs? A few heads turned toward Tracy. She smiled slightly. Because we figured you'd want to see the idea that's going to make you their boss. Jackson raised an eyebrow. That's so? He looked to Daniel, who remained standing, hands in his pockets, posture casual but centered. Go ahead, Jackson said. No ranks here. Just tell me. Daniel looked around the room. Older men and women in uniform, scientists in civilian clothes, intelligence analysts already scrolling through briefings they hadn't been allowed to open yet. Okay, Daniel said. Here's the problem. No greeting, no preamble. Just Daniel, flat voice, lean frame, staring into the heart of it. If someone shows up in orbit with a 100-year tech lead, we lose. Period. I don't care how many jets we scramble or what treaties we hide behind. If they can cross light years, they're not going to be impressed by our carrier groups. A few nods. No argument there. Daniel continued. So I'm not interested in winning a dogfight, I'm interested in rigging the ring. He stepped to the console beside him and tapped in a series of commands. The hollow projection activated, showing Earth surrounded by a slowly shifting haze. And then Daniel started the briefing that would change the world. Tracy barely heard the words. Deep geothermal shafts, old Soviet concept. We refine it. Bury a nuke at the bottom of a 6-kilometer borehole, flood it with seawater, then trigger the charge. You get a vertical plasma burst that launches a tungsten payload at Mach 20. No engine, no emissions, no warning, just an invisible spear punching up from underground. She instead focused on her father. When it was over, Admiral Jackson didn't say anything. He wanted to, he just wasn't sure where to begin. Is this a joke? He asked, because if it is, it's not funny. Daniel was taken aback, but not Tracy. She knew her father well enough to know what his reaction meant. He thought this was too good to be true. She turned to one of the senior officers in the room and nodded. Commander Halvers spoke for the first time. Sir, I've reviewed the physical models. It tracks. The plasma spike behaves exactly as he says, and with stable nodal energy readings, the field could draw in converging vectors at high probability. Admiral Jackson fell back into his chair as if he had been shot. Jackson let out a slow breath. None of the other branches know about this? Daniel shrugged. Just us and a 9-year-old. Technically, she came up with the volcano part. Jackson looked to Luke, then Tracy, then back to Daniel, his expression unreadable. Daniel, when I gave you this assignment, I thought that you might come up with something innovative, something theoretical, something that it might take us a century to build, a vision we could use to reshape the defense of Earth over decades. But this will change the U.S. Armed Forces by the end of this decade. Daniel said nothing. This isn't a weapons platform. It's a doctrine, a whole-of-planet defense grid. You just gave us a way to win a fight we weren't even sure we could survive. Tracy leaned forward, voice steady. We're going to need everything. Money, drilling contracts, nuclear reallocation, manufacturing, global site access. But it's real. Initial estimates suggest we could build this in 5 to 10 years. Luke added, and it works. All the elements have already been tested by other projects. Jackson stared at the projections again. The room had gone completely silent. He finally spoke, quietly, reverently. No one in the other branches has anything close to this. Admiral Jackson didn't move for a long moment. Then slowly he turned from the projection and faced the room. No one breathes a word of this. Not to other branches, not to your own teams. Not until I say so. His tone had shifted, no longer curious or skeptical, but something colder, commanding, final. This room is now classified Omega Red, full blackout, secure channels only. Anyone leaks this, they're done. Jackson stood slowly, eyes still locked on the projection, as if afraid that looking away might cause it to disappear. From this point forward, he said, voice low but ironclad, Daniel Taylor doesn't go anywhere alone. I don't care if it's a nap, a shower, or a walk to the vending machine. Someone is with him, eyes on, round the clock. He glanced at Luke and Tracy. That means you two. You're his shadow detail now. You stick closer to him than his skin. Tracy nodded without hesitation. Luke opened his mouth, then thought better of it. Jackson wasn't finished. Whatever he needs, equipment, data access, drone time, a goddamn espresso machine, you get it for him. No red tape, no excuses. If I find out somebody delayed a requisition form, I'll personally duct tape them to a Thunderwell prototype and let Libby hit the launch button. That earned a couple nervous chuckles, but no one doubted he meant it. We've got 30 days, Jackson said. 1 month to prep the full brief for the president. You'll get a secure suite here in the Pentagon, off books. You'll eat, sleep, and breathe this plan. And when the time comes, we're going to walk into that Oval Office and show the Commander-in-Chief what survival looks like. He turned back to Daniel, really looked at him now. And son, if you so much as drool on your pillow, someone better be there to mop it. Daniel blinked. Noted. Jackson nodded once. Good. Jackson laughed. This was really based on a comment from a 9-year-old girl? Daniel nodded. Jackson shook his head. Someone remind me to send that kid a medal, after we classify her for life.